And joining me now is Lieutenant Colonel Hal Kempfer, retired Marine Corps intelligence officer. Hal, thanks for joining us. It's good to see you as always. Turkey's president today warned that the offensive would restart on Tuesday after 120 hours if Kurdish forces did not withdraw from the so-called safe zone here. But based on what we just heard there, it would seem as though the ceasefire was already over if it ever really went into place. Is the ceasefire truly the victory that the White House says it is?
Well, Eric, it's a ceasefire. In fact, it's a partial ceasefire because there's still shooting going on. There's still mortars. Basically, you're seeing, ground, not heavy artillery, from what I understand, and certainly, the Kurds don't have any airstrike capability of their own. But what you're seeing is a lowered op tempo. I think the Turks are somewhat sincere in that they're trying to give the Kurds a chance to pull back. The issue I really see is there is a very different interpretation of what the agreement is on the ground. It's 12 kilometers, 32 kilometers. I've heard it 30 kilometers, and initially the Turks said it was going to be 50 kilometers. These are all vast differences, and there's a big problem because if you go up to the northeastern part of Syria, that is traditional Kurdish areas. That's where the Kurds have lived for a very, very long time. And essentially what they're asking is for Kurdish families to evacuate their historic homeland, their farms, their homes. There's a lot of problems with this entire concept.
Hal, is pushing back the Kurds, no matter how far back we're talking about here, is pushing them back enough of a win for Erdogan, especially considering, they consider the Kurds in Turkey as terrorists?
Well, that is typical Turkish rhetoric. They don't separate different types of Kurds. They think all the Kurds are the PKK, which is a terrorist group, an acknowledged terrorist group that operates in Turkey. They're a separatist group. They've done some incredibly violent attacks, but they don't separate those from any other armed faction of Kurds, and they basically are saying that the Kurdish-backed Syrian forces to the south were simply a safe haven for PKK, and that there is no difference. And in that regard, may be somewhat true.
Hal, very quickly, is this all just an excuse to expand the territory, expand what Turkey controls?
What they control, but they're not trying to, from what I can see, there's no intent to hold that or to make it sovereign Turkish territory. But there is an attempt to really push Turkish control to the south.
All right, Hal Kempfer, thanks as always. It's good to see you.
Thank you, Eric.